Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another yoga class. We are going to see if we can get into some standing work to see if we can do some more dynamic stuff. Because what I'm noticing a lot is to actually do more dynamic yoga, not just be in one pose and stay there for a long time, but doing yoga as a warm-up or after I finish training actually really helps my mobility so much. So we're going to see if we can get into that today. And let's start. So I'm actually going to start today with a wide-legged stance. So I'm starting my legs pretty wide. And then from here, I'm just going to see if I can twist enough to reach each one of my toes. Maybe I need to bend my legs a little bit. That's okay if I do. And seeing if my arms can touch the mat. Maybe even my whole hand can touch the mat. And then I'm just going slow from side to side. And from every side that I come on, I'm going to see if I can really twist towards the top. So I'm twisting and I'm looking after the arm that is going towards the roof. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to pick a side. So I'm picking a side and I'm putting my either fingers or whole hand on the mat and I'm just twisting, looking up towards the roof. If I need to bend my legs a little bit, that's fine. And then I'm just seeing if I can breathe, having my breath with me. And then when I'm ready, I'm just swapping to the other side. So I'm pushing that arm up towards the roof, looking after it. And I remember to breathe. And when I'm ready, come down with both of my hands. And from here, I'm standing as if I'm bent forward. And then I'm just slowly going to walk my hands a little bit outward. So I'm walking and I'm seeing if I can keep my legs straight. And making sure that I have a good grip on my hands. And then from here, I'm just going to see if I can sway my back. So I'm swaying my back and I'm looking forward. Just simply to get some movement into my shoulder blades. Maybe I want to adjust my weight a little bit, so I'm adjusting a little bit forward, pushing a little bit back. I'm really seeing if I can push through my hands into my shoulder blades. And then even more, seeing if I can do a little more push into my hands, into my shoulder blades. And then when I'm ready, walking my hands inwards again, relaxing. I'm going to put my hands into my hips and I'm slowly just going to lift off, coming all the way up to standing again. Maybe I need to roll my shoulders a little bit. From here, I'm just going to turn so you can see me, but you keep a wide-legged step. And then I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to interlace them in my back. So I'm interlacing them here and I'm just rolling my shoulders all the way to the back. Again, from here, I'm going to bend from the hip. So I'm just sending my hips out towards the back, leaning over, and then I'm just going to see if my arms can lean with me. So they're coming all the way over. and just dropping down towards the mat. This is a pretty decent shoulder stretch. Just really getting into my shoulder and my neck. This is one of my favorite stretches actually. Especially because I've talked about before that since, especially in Jiu-Jitsu, we use a lot of our shoulders and chest muscles, pulling on each other's gis. In wrestling, if we're in guard, we're very protected in the chest, always having like hunched back, lean forward shoulders. So shoulder stretches is one of my absolute favorites. And I'm gonna breathe. And then when I'm ready, my arms just come back down. And I'm slowly raising up all the way towards the roof. Hopefully you don't get dizzy. And then my feet just slowly walking in so that they're about hip width apart. From here, I want to just take a big step forward with my right leg. And then I walk my left leg just a little bit backwards. So I just want to come into warrior one. So I'm going to bend my front leg. And from here, I'm going to send my arms all the way up to the roof. I don't need to keep my back heel in. I can lift my back heel off. And I'm just going to sink down into that front foot. If it's too much to have my leg bent all the time, I can always stretch it a little bit. It doesn't have to be super heavy. But I'm seeing if I can really drop into that back hip, the leg that's dropping back. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to twist my hips from pointing to the front to pointing to the side. So now my hips are pointing to the side and we're into warrior two. So I'm stretching my arm to each side, bending into that front leg. And again, I'm breathing. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to take that front arm and I'm going to place it next to my right foot. So I'm bending over, placing it next to my right foot. If I can, I stretch that front leg. If I can't, I'm keeping it bent. And I look up towards my hand, seeing if I can work on straightening that front leg. Little bit of a hamstring stretch. And then when I'm ready, pushing through that front leg, coming my body all the way up. And I'm just doing a slow, a little back bend. So I let my right arm come up and I'm leaning into that back body. Maybe putting some weight in my hip, not too much on my knee. And I'm leaning over. And then when I'm ready, coming back into a neutral, looking towards, or having a wide leg looking towards me. We're just going to do the opposite side. So all we're going to do is we're switching to this side and we're going in to warrior one. So I have my opposite leg to the front as the one that I already had, bending into that front leg. My back heel lifts off and I come up into a warrior one. If it's too much to have the leg bent, I can always straighten it. But seeing if I can really stretch the back part of that hip. When my arms come up and I breathe. And then when I'm ready, my hips go from pointing to the forward to pointing sideways, and I'm in to warrior two. That back heel comes a little bit onto the mat, and I bend into that front foot, looking towards my front arm. The standing sequences are always, for me at least, pretty tiring. But they're also very, they build a lot of patience for me. And then when I'm ready, that left hand comes next to my foot. Maybe I need a little bit of a smaller step. And I pull my other one up, look towards the sky, and then I see if I can stretch or work on stretching that front foot. And I breathe. And I smile. And then when I'm ready, I'm pushing through that front foot, coming all the way up, taking my left arm to the roof, maybe holding the back of my knee or the back of my thigh a little bit, and leaning towards the back. And when I'm ready, I come back up again, and I'm just gonna circle both of my arms to the front of my mat, whichever is the front right now. And then from here, it doesn't really matter which foot I have in the front. I have my left one in the front. I'm going to walk my left foot over towards the opposite side of my mat. So I'm walking it all the way to the opposite side. Now some people can just go over their knee into pigeon pose from here. I need to adjust my foot a little bit further down so that I can come down over that foot. Maybe I want to stay on my arms. Maybe I want to come down on my forearms. Some people can come all the way with their chest, all the way down. And I'm just going to relax here into that left hip, or whichever hip you're stretching. Maybe I put my forehead down into my arms, and we're just going to breathe here for a little while so we can get into that hip. And I'm going to try and send my breath all the way down into that hip. So when I breathe in, my breath goes all the way down into that hip that I'm stretching. And on my out breath, I release and see if I can sink a little bit lower into the stretch. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to just push myself back up onto my hands. And instead of coming out of this position, I'm going to pull my back knee behind the front one, so that they're just crossing each other. And then from here, I'm going to see if I can sit back. Maybe I have to sit onto that leg, the lower one, but really what I want to do is I want to sit in between them. So I want to sit down on my butt and I have one leg on each side. And then from here, I'm just going to see if I can adjust my weight so that I have equal weight in both hips. Just seeing if I can lean my weight into that leg. That's kind of wants to lift off and shift to the side, so I'm shifting my weight back, seeing if I can lean into that. So now we're really starting to get into those hips. Maybe I even want to shift my weight and lean forward just a little bit. Very good, and then I'm just going to lift myself off, coming onto my knees again. And I'm going to release my feet, coming into all fours. Now, since I had my left leg to the front last time, I'm going to pull my right leg forward, but you pull the opposite one from what you already had. And then I'm walking that leg towards the opposite side of the mat. All the way to the opposite side. Maybe I can have my leg parallel to the mat and just lean over in pigeon pose. I can't, so I have to adjust it a little bit. And then I lean back down over that leg, coming down into the opposite hip. Again, sending my breath down into that hip. And then when I'm ready, I'm just pushing myself back onto my hands. And that back knee comes up, but it stays behind the front knee. And then maybe I sit back and it's enough to just sit back on that leg. But maybe I'm able to sit in between my legs. So in between both of my heels. And then I'm seeing if I can shift my weight onto the hip that kind of wants to pop off the ground. So I'm shifting my weight into that so that I have equal weight in my hips. And then I sit up straight. And I breathe. Maybe I lean a little bit forward. And then when I'm ready, I come out again. Last exercise we're gonna do today, just gonna lie onto our backs. And then from here, I take my hands and I put them on the inside of my knees, and then I grab the outside of my feet. So my elbows are on the inside of my knees, but I'm grabbing the outside. And then from here, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna see if all of my lower back, almost all the way down to my butt, is able to touch the mat. So that means I kind of have to sway my back to see if that lower part of my back can touch the mat. Maybe I want to sway a little bit side to side. Maybe I want to sway a little bit back and forth. And you see, if you're swaying back and forth and you feel when your lower back tries to hit the mat, that gives a very big stretch on the inside of the thighs, inside of the hips. And my knees are just dropping into my armpits. And then when I'm ready, I'm just gonna let go. I'm pulling my legs out or lying my legs all the way down on the mat. My hands come down next to me. I relax everything in my body. I take a few deep breaths, let go of everything. Not trying to control the breath, not trying to have tension anywhere. Maybe just checking if I have any tension in my forehead or in between my eyebrows. Seeing if I can let go of that. Do I have any tension in my jaw? Or in my tongue or throat? Can I let go of that? My chest sinking into the ground. Stomach and hips drop into the ground. My thighs get heavy. My knees are heavy. My feet are heavy. And then I take one more deep breath. And I roll over to my side and push myself up to seated, or whichever way you want to come up into a seated position. that is it for today's class. A little bit of everything, but mostly I hope you got into your lower back and your hips. And I'm so happy you're here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!